There is a very specific kind of person who cannot be manipulated, cannot be provoked, and cannot be controlled by anyone else's opinion of them. Not because they don't care about people, not because they're cold, but because 2,000 years ago, a group of philosophers figured out something most of us never learn. The people who upset you the most are the ones who own you the most. You give someone your peace the moment you let their words decide your mood. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth, and yet he wrote himself a private note that had nothing to do with armies or politics. It was a reminder to himself, so he wouldn't forget it under pressure. He wrote it because even an emperor needed to be reminded not to let other people live rent-free in his head. If the most powerful man in the ancient world needed a system to stay unbothered, what makes you think you don't? Today, I'm giving you 10 rules, not motivational quotes, not vague advice. 10 specific, brutal, practical rules the Stoics lived by that will make you almost impossible to offend, impossible to manipulate, and impossible to control. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why certain people seem untouchable and how to become one of them. Let's begin. Before we get into the rules, you need to understand one uncomfortable truth. Nobody has ever made you angry. Nobody has ever made you insecure. Nobody has ever made you anxious about what they think of you. You did that, not them. This is the entire foundation of Stoic philosophy, and it comes from a man named Epictetus, who started life as a slave. He had every reason in the world to be bitter, to be reactive, to feel like a victim of his circumstances. Instead, he became one of the most influential philosophers in history, and his core teaching was this: it is not events that disturb people, but their judgments about events. Read that again. It's not what happens to you, it's the story you immediately tell yourself about what happened. Someone ignores your text. The event is neutral. A phone stayed unopened. But your brain writes a story. They're mad at me. I did something wrong. They don't respect me. That story is what hurts, not the silence. This single idea is the root of everything we're about to cover. Once you separate the event from your judgment of the event, you gain something almost every person on earth is missing: control over your own peace. Now let's get into the 10 rules. Rule 1. Separate what is yours from what isn't. The Stoics had a concept called the dichotomy of control. It sounds academic, but it's brutally simple. Some things are in your control, and some things are not. Your job, your only job, is to stop wasting energy on the second category. Your reputation is not in your control. What people say about you when you leave the room is not in your control. Whether someone likes you, agrees with you, or approves of your choices, none of that is in your control. What is in your control? Your effort, your honesty, your reaction, your choices. Here's how this plays out in real life. Someone talks badly about you at work. The old version of you spirals, replaying it, planning a defense, losing sleep. The Stoic version of you asks one question: is this in my control? No, so you release it. Not because you're weak, and not because you don't care, but because you refuse to spend your limited energy on something you cannot change. This is not indifference. This is precision. You save your emotional energy for the things that actually respond to your effort. Practice this daily. When something upsets you, pause and ask, is this mine to control? If the answer is no, you let it pass through you, like wind through an open window. You feel it. You don't hold on to it. Rule 2. Don't explain yourself to everyone. There is a strange modern habit of over-explaining every decision we make. Why we didn't go to that event. Why we ended that friendship. Why we chose that job. We think an explanation will protect us from judgment. It won't. It usually invites more of it. The Stoics understood that your actions speak for themselves, and that constantly justifying yourself is a form of seeking approval, which puts your peace back in someone else's hands. Marcus Aurelius wrote about not needing to be understood by everyone, and not needing everyone to approve of his choices. He governed an empire without needing the crowd's applause for every decision. If he didn't need it, why do you? This doesn't mean become secretive or cold. It means stop offering unsolicited justifications to people who were never entitled to one in the first place. Your closest people deserve honesty. Everyone else gets your results, not your explanations. The next time you feel the urge to explain a decision to someone who has no real stake in your life, stop. Let the silence sit. Watch how much lighter you feel. Rule 3. Treat insults like weather. Here's a mental exercise the Stoics use that sounds almost too simple to work, until you try it. When someone insults you, imagine it's a random gust of wind or a burst of rain. You don't take rain personally. You don't lie awake at night wondering why the wind was so cold to you specifically. You just accept that weather happens, you adjust, and you move on. Insults are the emotional weather of other people's inner state. When someone is cruel to you, it is almost always a reflection of what is happening inside them. Their stress, their insecurity, their pain, not an accurate report on your worth. Seneca wrote extensively about this. He said that people who are truly great in spirit look upon insults the way a large, strong animal looks upon the barking of small dogs. Unmoved, uninterested, unbothered. This doesn't mean you accept genuine, constructive criticism from people who care about you. That's different. That's useful weather, the kind that helps things grow. This is about the random, careless, cruel comments from strangers and acquaintances who have no real investment in your life. Let those pass through you like wind. Don't build a house to live in them. Rule 4. Lower your expectations of other people. This sounds pessimistic, but it's actually one of the most freeing rules in Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself every single morning, before he even left his bed, that he would encounter difficult people that day. People who were rude, ungrateful, dishonest, or unkind. He didn't do this to become bitter. He did this so that when it happened, he wouldn't be shocked or destabilized by it. Think about why disappointment hurts so much. It's rarely the event itself. It's the gap between what you expected and what actually happened. The bigger that gap, the more it stings. When you walk into your day expecting some friction, some rudeness, some disappointment, you're not being negative, you're being prepared. And preparation is what makes you unshakable. This is not about assuming the worst in people or losing your trust in humanity. It's about removing the shock factor from human imperfection so that when someone lets you down, you can respond with calm understanding instead of wounded surprise. Rule 5. Respond slowly, never immediately. Almost every regret you've ever had in a conflict came from something you said or did in the first 10 seconds of being provoked. The Stoics practiced what we might now call a pause, a deliberate gap between stimulus and response. Epictetus taught that impressions hit us instantly, but we don't have to accept them instantly. There is a space, even if it's tiny, between what happens and how you choose to respond. In that space is your entire power as a human being. Most people don't use that space. They react in half a second, driven by pure emotion, and then spend the next week cleaning up the damage. Practice this. The next time you feel a hot flash of anger or hurt, count to 5 before you say a single word. 5 seconds. That's it. In that tiny window, your rational mind catches up to your emotional mind, and you almost always respond better. People who seem unbothered aren't actually unbothered in the moment. They simply don't let you see the first, unfiltered reaction. By the time they respond, they've already processed it internally. That's not fakeness. That's discipline. Rule 6. Your value isn't a democracy. One of the most damaging habits in modern life is treating your self-worth like it's up for a vote, where everyone who has an opinion about you gets a ballot. The Stoics rejected this entirely. Your worth is not decided by consensus. It is not decided by how many people like you, agree with you, or validate you. It is something you define through your own actions, your own character, your own integrity. Marcus Aurelius wrote about not seeking praise, because praise is fickle. The same people who admire you today can turn on you tomorrow, for reasons that have nothing to do with who you actually are. If your sense of self depends on their opinion, you will spend your entire life on an emotional roller coaster you didn't choose to ride. Detach your identity from the pole. Let your actions be judged by your own internal standard. Did I act with honesty? Did I act with discipline? Did I act with integrity? Not by how loudly the crowd cheered or booed. Rule 7. Don't argue with people who aren't arguing in good faith. Not every disagreement deserves your energy. The Stoics were remarkably selective about which battles they engaged in. because they understood something most people miss. You cannot win an argument with someone who isn't actually interested in the truth, only in being right, or in provoking you. Epictetus taught that if someone wants to insult you, they need your cooperation. If you refuse to engage, if you refuse to give them the emotional reaction they're fishing for, the insult has nowhere to land. It just falls to the ground. This is one of the most practical tools you'll ever learn. The next time someone is clearly trying to bait you into a reaction, a comment section troll, a coworker fishing for conflict, a family member who thrives on drama, ask yourself, is this person actually open to changing their mind, or are they just trying to pull me into their storm? If it's the second one, you don't need to win. You just need to walk away undisturbed. Silence, in this context, isn't losing. It's the ultimate form of winning, because you keep the one thing they were trying to take, your composure. Rule 8. Practice voluntary discomfort. This one sounds strange at first, but it might be the most powerful rule on this list. The Stoics deliberately practiced discomfort. Cold showers, simple meals, sleeping without luxury, going without things they were used to having. Not because they hated comfort, but because they wanted to prove to themselves that they could lose those comforts and still be okay. Here's why this matters for being unbothered by people. So much of our emotional fragility comes from fear of loss, fear of losing approval, fear of losing status, fear of losing comfort. And fear makes you controllable, because anyone who can threaten what you're afraid to lose has power over you. When you practice small, voluntary discomforts, skip a meal, take a cold shower, go a day without your phone, you're training a deep, subconscious belief. I can handle loss. I don't need external comfort to be okay. That belief is armor. Once you know you can survive without something, nobody can control you by threatening to take it away. Rule 9. Focus on your own character, not your image. There's a difference between reputation and character. Reputation is what people think you are. Character is what you actually are. In the moments no one is watching. The Stoics obsessed over character and treated reputation as something almost beneath their concern. Marcus Aurelius wrote repeatedly about not needing anyone else to know about his good deeds and not performing virtue for an audience. This matters because people who chase image are, by definition, controllable. Their sense of self rises and falls with public perception, so they will bend, shrink, or contort themselves to protect that image. People who focus on character instead don't have that vulnerability. Their foundation isn't built on what others see. It's built on what they know to be true about themselves. Privately, consistently, every single day. Ask yourself honestly, are you making choices based on what actually aligns with your values, or based on how it will look to others? The moment you shift your focus from image to character, you stop needing everyone's approval. And the moment you stop needing it, no one can use it against you. Rule 10. Remember that everything is temporary. The final rule, and perhaps the most sobering one, comes from the Stoic practice of reflecting on mortality, not to be morbid but to gain perspective. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of how brief life is, how quickly people and things pass, how insignificant most day-to-day conflicts will seem in the grand scale of a life, let alone the scale of history. Here's how to use this practically. The next time something small consumes you with anger or anxiety, a rude comment, a disagreement, a slight from someone whose opinion barely matters, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Will it matter in 5 months? Will it even matter in 5 days? Almost every single time, the honest answer is no. And once you see clearly how small most of these disturbances actually are against the scale of your entire life, they lose their grip on you. This isn't about not caring about anything. It's about correctly sizing your reactions to match the actual significance of the event, instead of letting every small thing hijack your peace as if it were life or death. 10 rules. None of them require you to become cold, distant, or emotionless. In fact, the Stoics were not unfeeling. They simply refused to let their feelings be dictated by people who didn't deserve that kind of power over them. Being unbothered isn't about not caring. It's about caring selectively, deliberately, and on your own terms. Instead of letting every stranger, every comment, every insult, and every disappointment write your emotional story for you. You already have everything you need to apply these 10 rules. The only question is whether you'll actually practice them the next time someone tries to provoke you, or whether you'll fall back into the same old reaction you've had 1,000 times before. Pick one rule from this video, just one. Apply it this week, deliberately, on purpose. That's how the Stoics built this skill, not through motivation, but through daily, repeated practice. If this video gave you something you needed to hear today, that's exactly why this channel exists. Subscribe, because next week we're going deeper into the exact daily routine Marcus Aurelius used to stay disciplined, even as Emperor of Rome, and how you can build a version of it into your own life. Until then, stay unbothered.